Welcome to another edition of Inside Guyana. Today, our cameraman is Mr. Ravi and our producer, Prakash. On behalf of the management and staff of ITV, I want you to join me, please, in welcoming to our studio today our special guest, a real estate broker, a writer, and also a political activist, a prominent Guyanese here in the New York area, Mr. Leyland Roopnarine. Sir, welcome to the program Inside Guyana.
Well, thanks for having me.
Leyland, you know that recently Guyana held its national elections, and I understand you were present in Guyana during the election period and prior to that. I would be very happy if you can please share some of your views on the electoral processes in Guyana and also some of your observations during that period while you were there, sir.
Well, the electoral process was very free, very fair. There were many observers, and I was part of the whole campaign process too, because I'm an executive member of the AFC, and I campaigned on behalf of the coalition because I felt we needed a change in Guyana. We needed a better government. We needed a more accountable government. In regards to the election results, that's history now. We have to move on. Much has been said about the assertions have been made that the elections were not free and fair. Well, the Carter Center, the British High Commission, the Canadian High Commission, all rendered the election to be a free and fair process. But we have to move forward now. We have to build Guyana. We have to pave the way for new governance. And most of all, we have to clear the garbage that's presently in Guyana if we're going to move forward.
Are you speaking about the physical garbage, sir, or are you speaking about the political garbage or the administrative garbage?
There is so much garbage in Guyana, both political and metaphorically speaking. All has to be cleared up. The way forward is to have a plan and work according to your plan. You plan your work and you work your plan. Guyana's main problem now is crime.
Before we move on to the details of that, we haven't exhausted the first question. We would like to hear, I'm sure our viewers would like to hear from you, sir, who was present there. We weren't fortunate like you to be in Guyana all the time. Some of the observations, what did you observe on the streets? Are the people happy? Are the people happier? Are the people saying things that you like or dislike? Did anyone beat you up? Were you threatened? Were you kicked around the place? What happened there?
No, I wasn't beaten up, but I was threatened at almost every meeting that I spoke at or campaigned in the village for, because I was told that, in a nutshell, you're an Indian and why are you voting for the APNU+AFC Coalition? So my answer to that is that I have a brain and I am entitled to use it and I'm entitled to make a choice. After all, this is what democracy is all about. But then I asked these mostly PPP supporters, if you think I'm an Indian and I should be a member of the PPP, then what are you doing with the fellow Africans who are member of the PPP? Don't you think they are traitors so that they should go back to being APNU/PNC/AFC? So there was not an answer to that because this is basically shooting yourself in the mouth here. But to move on, the baggage, the garbage that we spoke of, both from an administrative level as well as a physical level. As I indicated to you, Guyana is littered with garbage throughout. Georgetown is an eyesore. Georgetown, that was once called the Garden City, should actually have a more accurate label, the Garbage City. So cleaning up the garbage in Guyana is first and foremost on the agenda of the new government.
Okay, Mr. Luna, now you're coming closer to the other question. You haven't really given us some more of your observations. You only observe garbage. But if that's your
Oh.
Your view, you're entitled to that, and you're sharing that with our viewers. We're very grateful for whatever you observe there. Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, now we have a new government in Guyana. His Excellency President David Arthur Granger, the Honorable Mr. Moses Nagamudu, the Prime Minister of Guyana, and the Vice President Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, and Minister of National Security, and the head of the Ministry of the Presidency, Mr. Joseph Harmon. They are all ready to embark on this new administration of Guyana. I'm sure you probably would have some advice to them. Let's get you on board, because you have been in politics for quite a number of years, and I know you have been writing on Guyana's development and Guyana's political relations for quite some time, and I'm sure you would have some solid advice probably to share with our viewers and to the new government in Guyana, sir. Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, let me put it to you straight up. Let's assume that you, sir, were the president or prime minister of Guyana. What are some of the things you will do immediately?
Like I indicated to you, we have to clean the garbage up in Guyana. And I don't mean the physical garbage that bottles litter the street and the drains are blocked. I mean the garbage that we had as a government. The first thing I'll do in Guyana is to get a bigger jail. There's so many corrupt officials under the PPP that I will launch immediately an anti-corruption commission to investigate where the money of the people of Guyana went. Who stole what? Who gave who a contract that went sour? Who built a wharf that floated away? Who built a road that broke up within a year? These are the garbage and the inefficiencies of the government that needs to be corrected. But that's $1 million question. If I were the president, what would I do? Well, I hope I can give you $1 million answer. But high on my agenda will be crime. Guyana has rampant crime, and we are unable to fight crime because of the poor quality of forensic analysis, the poor quality of policemen, the poor salaries that officials in the crime fighting division have, and moreover, the lack of forensic laboratories to create a data bank for crime, because crime is a repeat offense. The same people actually commit the same crime over and over in various other locations. After crime, I will deal with the electric situation in Guyana. The electricity situation is horrible. There are many areas in Guyana that don't have electricity. And in a modern era where people use computers to do their homework, electricity is a must. We have gone ahead of ourselves in trying to build a hydro project. A hydro project is extremely costly and extremely technologically difficult. We could start with wind and solar energy. The Netherlands has a tremendous amount of wind-generated electricity. Guyana has an abundance of sunshine to generate solar electricity. These are two fields that the PPP has neglected. That I would establish immediately, because we don't need to bring electricity from 1,000 miles away to Georgetown when we can generate electricity right next to Georgetown by the seawalls. Wind and solar power. Cheap and effective.
Okay, so we have the security situation, the crime situation involved there also, and now you said you're going to tackle the electricity supply. Next?
Next is water.
Water.
Water is the basis of all life forms. Whether you're a plant or an animal or a human being, without water, you will simply die. It is appalling to the point of being disgusting to see almost every other house on the coast of Guyana and Georgetown having 1 to 6 black tanks. Some houses have as much as 10 black tanks just to get water supply in
Could
irregular.
you explain to the viewers of ITV what the black tanks? They might not understand what you're talking about, sir.
A black tank is a huge tank that holds 400 gallons of water at an average. Some are smaller, some are larger. You have to store 400 gallons of water in a tank, times 5 tanks, 10 tanks, 3 tanks.
How do they get
Overhead.
the water into that tank?
They use electric pumps to suck the water through the main pipelines to fill into their tank. As a result of you using a personal electric water pump, other areas have low water pressure because you increase your water pressure at your specific location. If this government could simply give you a higher water pressure, we will eliminate billions, the word here is billions of dollars in water pump, water lines, and black tanks, and the structures erected so the black tank could sit on, these trestles. So water is a crucial issue in Guyana right now. And like I said to you, crime is the #1 issue in Guyana. And I will invite the Scotland Yard, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the FBI to assist in fighting crime, setting up a laboratory. These facilities was offered to the previous government. Sad to say that the Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Clement Rowe, he refused these offers. Therein lies the basis of our problem. You're getting something that will assist you in fighting crime, and you refuse it.
Okay, so next on the program.
Well, next on our program is education. We cannot build a nation with illiteracy. We need to build a nation with education. It's a sad state of affairs to see that Guyana has built a Marriott hotel to the cost of about $60 million US, when schools and the University of Guyana are facing disrepair. They're actually in disrepair. I have visited many schools, and the toilet facilities are either horrible or non-existent. There's no water. If there's no water, you don't have any toilet facility. Then, apart from that, we need better paid teachers, because teachers are going to the Bahamas and to Jamaica because of the lure of better salary and more attractive packages. So education is a very high priority on the present president's list. Coupled with an increase in teacher salary, the level of education must be looked into, because we were once the top CXC producing country in the Caribbean. We are probably the lowest now. This government has not brought out any statistics to show you what level we are at in the Caribbean country. So vis-a-vis Trinidad, we are totally backward, because our education system and our results at the CXC level has dropped tremendously. Teachers need better pay. The teachers need better working conditions. The schools that exist, many of them are in disrepair. You have to walk through dust and sand to get to your classroom. Many schools, my school, I went to Lenora Government School. I am sorry to say that school is full of bushes. It's full of sand that you have to walk through to get to your classroom, and it is very hot during the day because there's very poor ventilation. As a simple point, the zinc sheets that cover the school is a very, very strong conductor of heat. You need to insulate the ceiling so that people can study in comfort. No child can study in a school that's about 90 to 100 degrees in temperature. You can easily reduce that by putting a ceiling. We can go further now. The next item on the agenda is the traffic offenses in Guyana. There are too many lives lost needlessly by negligent drivers, careless drivers, or negligent policemen who don't investigate these crimes and allow drivers to get away with crimes on the road. Traffic crime is as any other homicide crime. You kill someone, whether you hit them with your vehicle or you kill them with a knife or a firearm, it's the same human life you have taken. So traffic offense should be very serious. Not causing death by dangerous driving. It should be vehicular homicide, which should carry a mandatory jail sentence. Recently, a certain minister's son was involved in an accident. The person died.
In the previous government?
The previous government, yeah. The previous government, the minister's son killed someone, and he didn't even spend a day in jail. That will never happen in a true democracy. So, crime, water, electricity, education, and the traffic situation in Guyana are all very high on the agenda of the APNU+AFC government.
Okay, so those are your recommendations. So if you're president, that's what you're going to look at?
Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And,
if I were president, there's a lot more I will do.
okay, for
right?
example?
I will conduct a forensic audit of all the ministries. I want to know where the money went, who took what, and I want them to bring it back. If you do the crime, you do the time. It's a very simple language. I will go further to say that no alcohol should be sold to anyone under the age of 18. If you want to make a progressive society, you have to impose rules. Singapore is an extremely good role model for Guyana. When Lee Kuan Yew, who died a month ago, took over Singapore, it was in total chaos. Today, Singapore is one of the Asian tigers and one of the emerging economic giants of the world. We need to restructure Guyana in many ways. We cannot implement a law to restructure Guyana. We have to start with a social culture. Another thing Guyana needs is great input into its agriculture sector. You asked me if I were president, what I'll do. I would open the ports for all agriculture equipment to come in duty-free for 1 year. Anything pertaining to agriculture, whether it's a plow, a tiller, a tractor, a combine, a boat engine, a ship to transport goods, farm commodities, all these I will make duty-free. I will go on to state that Guyana being so much backward in vis-a-vis the developing world like Trinidad or Jamaica or Barbados, we need great communication, because these gone are days when children go down to the library and do research. We have research at our fingertips because we have the internet. Guyana has very poor internet connections. When I was in Guyana, I couldn't even communicate with people over here. We need this is the age of information. The world has gone through various ages: the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Renaissance, the medieval times, the age of darkness, the age of enlightenment. Now we're in the age of communication. We are very backward. And just to mention that the great communication project that was undertaken by the PPP government in bringing a fiber optic cable from Brazil to Georgetown has been a colossal failure. And the person in charge of the project is the son of the former president, Alexei Ramutar, was given $30 million US to bring that cable to Georgetown. 4 years later, there is no cable in Georgetown, and Mr. Ramutar has to account for that money and that cable. I will investigate that cable, and if I find him guilty, assuming that I was sitting on the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Ramutar will be going to jail. You cannot steal the country's resources and money. No one can do that, not even in the present coalition government.
Right, but how about the Ministry of Finance? How would you handle that?
The Ministry of Finance needs investment. It also needs to restructure Guyana banking laws. The Ministry of Finance can work with the Divestment Commission, which was actually headed by Dr. Roger Luncheon of the Presidential Secretary. Divestment, yeah. The Ministry of Finance has to first of all allocate funds and monitor these funds, not simply allocate funds, monitor these funds and how they are spent. And if you're allocating funds, let's say $100 million for a project, you don't just give the funds in one disbursement, right? You give it stage by stage in draws as the project progresses and as the project is evaluated by your auditors and your engineers. Not like not like the past PB government that just give you $100 million and you don't know what to do with it. You know, there's so much money to be spent, it is misspent or overspent. Then, as a person who will oversee the finance ministry, I will get my auditors every year to audit every single ministry to see how our money is being spent. I mean the people of Guyana's money. I will encourage foreign investment. I will make sure that these foreign corporations pay the right amount of taxes to the Guyana people. Presently, the Ministry of Finance is doing very poorly under the previous administration, that is, together with the Auditor General's office. A case in point is the export of lumber by Shanlin that exports wood, logs, undressed, untreated logs, declares that Greenheart is sold for $200 per cubic meter. Greenheart has a price of close to $800 per cubic meter on the world market. So when Bai Shanlin pays 17% of $200, they should have been paying 17% of $800 to the government of Guyana, to the people of Guyana. That is where the government is being robbed. That is where the PPP knew that they were being robbed and did nothing with it, because all these contracts were done under clandestine and devious and fraudulent means. Let's go down to crime. Let me just revisit crime a little. Too many people are victims of crime in Guyana and they have no recourse for it because of the judicial system. And the judicial system is very tainted, and I wouldn't say very corrupted, but it needs to be straightened out. There's a famous case where the son of Prime Minister Sam Hines was found guilty of assault, and the magistrate was fired. That shows how blatantly corrupt the PPP administration was. Then social life must play a part in Guyana, right? Social life means people's family must be valued. Domestic violence must never ever take place and must be punishable very seriously. Many women in Guyana are battered and they take it for granted that because I'm a woman, my husband has a right to abuse me verbally or abuse me physically. Those days are gone. Women work as well as men in Guyana, and they should have very strong rights. And I'm very happy to know that that is one of the main priorities of the present government, because it is so heartbreaking to hear former President Jadoopat telling people in Guyana about children welfare and family values. This coming from a person who is wifeless and childless is very comical. We did a Bureau of Standards. Too much shoddy goods, substandard goods, cheap goods are flooded in the markets in Guyana today, especially electrical equipment and machinery and spare parts. We buy a lot of products, mainly from China, that are very substandard. That is one of the reasons why there's so many fires in Guyana. We find electrical outlets being burned because of overload, electrical wiring being very, very poor quality, the wires burn. That means that you burn whatever's in the spot, and then you get a massive fire. The Bureau of Standards should look into the equipment that also comes into Guyana. There are many spare parts that come from countries that are not supposed to have been manufactured in those countries, and Japanese vehicle should have Japanese parts or very close quality in terms of standard, very close to the quality the Japanese produce. But when you have spare parts coming from third world countries or even developed countries that are cheap, people tend to go for them. And when they go for them, they get into serious accidents because the parts give away.
Okay, Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, so you are going to have some changes in Guyana soon. You listened to the recent declarations of this new government, there's a new cabinet in place. 15 ministries, 26 ministers, and a forensic audit is being undertaken, and there are lots of other things being said. How do you feel about this new administration and the new government, the cabinet of ministers being put in place under the leadership of the Prime Minister, Mr. Moses Nagamoto?
Well, Mr. Granger indicated to me that he will cut down on the amount of ministries. I think the PB had about 20-something ministries.
18.
Oh, okay. The PB had close to 20 ministries. 15 ministries is a step in the right direction. Soon we'll be merging of a few other ministries, so we will cut down on overhead, we cut down on unnecessary personnel in the administration. And just to mention, our public sector is extremely overstaffed. It's top heavy. The police force is top heavy. The public sector is top heavy. Yeah. The police force has too much assistant commissioner of police, acting commissioner of police. We don't need those. We need people to work. Policemen are there to protect you, not to sit in an office and make rules. They are there to obey rules, and they are servants of the people. A policeman is Guyana's main public servant. In regards to other changes, I would like to state this. The powers of the president in Guyana are tremendous. On paper, the Guyana president has more power more than the American president, because you can take the American president to court. You can investigate the American president. You can actually impeach the American president, as happened with Mr. Clinton. The impeachment hearings were initiated against him in the Monica Lewinsky scandal. You cannot do that with the president of Guyana. He has a lot of power. That has to change. Guyana's president receives a salary of $120,000 US annually. That's a lot of money for a poor developing country. When you look at India, whose president Narendra Modi receives $30 million US annually. Mr. Ramotar.
Million or thousand?
30,000 US annually. And he governs 1.2 billion persons. Guyana has less than 800,000 people, less than 1 million persons. And that salary is a phenomenal salary. The pension of Mr. Jagdeo, which is now the same as the pension of Mr. Ramotar, the former president, $3 million per month, that has to be reviewed as well. So the salaries and the pensions of the president, the powers of the current president, all those needs to be reviewed. Additionally, local government elections, that goes without saying. Every 5 years, we need to have representatives from the villages to represent in their villages. You don't need a central government in Georgetown to tell someone in Bonastica Creek how to run a little, village there. People in the village should run their own village. Taxes collected there should be used for that. One cannot collect taxes in Georgetown and send it there, unless it is absolutely necessary in terms of a disaster. But local government elections have to take place. The new government has planned to set a date within this first 100 days. That will be a sure thing, because Mr. Granger is a no-nonsense person. I know him very well. He means well for Guyana. There's a zero tolerance for crime and corruption. There is also a scope for anyone who has talent and wants to work with the government.
Okay, Mr. Leyland, that's an extensive view there, a list of recommendations and advice to the new government in Guyana, I hope. I want to let you know that we're coming towards the end of our interview, and I'm sure you might want to say a few more words. Now you have that opportunity, sir. So please look at our ITV viewers, the eye and the Guyanese in the diaspora and at home in Guyana, and share your views with them. Tell them what you feel. No questions asked to you. Please go right ahead. Your message to the Guyanese people.
Well, fellow Guyanese, you can always call me and ask me any question. I may not be able to give you the perfect answer, but I'm very much part and parcel of the current government. I was there I campaigned for the APNU+AFC for 3 weeks. I met tens of thousands of people. I'm from Lenora. I'm a countryman. I grew up in a heavily sugar industry area. And I went to school bare feet, so I come from extreme poverty. I got a scholarship. I went to university. Under the PNC, I got a scholarship, by the way. And I'm willing to help anyone who is interested in working for the betterment of their country. Guyana has a long way forward. For a country that has gold, bauxite, sugar, rice, timber, fishing as some of its major resources, we should never have anyone in Guyana who is poor. We should have people who gets a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. We shouldn't have anyone to be a victim of crime and nothing happens to them. The police should be impartial and very professional in executing their duties. Next, no one should be walking on the road and be struck by an unlicensed driver, or a driver that has alcohol in his blood, or a driver who isn't even fit to be driving a commercial vehicle, such as a bus or a truck that carries cargo. One of the things I told Mr. Kimraj Ramjitan about, who is now the Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, is that we need to review the driver license system so that if you will require another license, a special type of license, if you have to transport passengers or cargo, that license will be very different and will require more comprehensive studies and greater assessment as compared to if you have a license simply to drive your own personal car. Because you have people's lives at risk and you have people's merchandise at risk. Finally, I would like to say to all Guyanese that no one should feel excluded from participating in Guyana's social process, Guyana's development, Guyana's education system, and Guyana's investment opportunities. I hope the days of fraud and corruption are gone, and I do hope that Mr. Granger will bring those people to justice, because not only have they committed crimes, they have stolen millions and millions of dollars in US dollars from the people of Guyana and have hidden it away in their private bank accounts. And when one wants to prune a tree, you start from the top. In parting, I would like to say that it has been a pleasure being on the program. I look forward to be here again, and I look forward to all Guyanese coming to meet the President and any of his ministers when they visit New York, because he did say he will come here to thank all the New Yorkers for their support. Those who live here, those who contributed to the campaign, those who went back and campaigned, and those who in any way made Guyana a better place for everyone to live in.
Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, I should have said this earlier, I apologize. Let's say if the Guyana government is to look for expertise in the diaspora, what aspect of your expertise can you offer the Guyana government, the new Guyana government, if asked?
Well, I'm willing to. I've always been Guyanese. I've always been part and parcel of any government in Guyana, and I've always offered constructive criticism both for the Jagdeo and the Ramotaro government. Some they have taken, most they have not taken, they have discarded. And I think the PPP lost this election because they think they are the brightest and most effective people, and the will of the people was dumped in the garbage. My expertise is in the field of real estate and building. I'm very familiar with the cost of building properties and the laws governing building properties, obtaining building permits, and building according to the rules and regulations of New York City. That is something Guyana does not have at the moment. People build properties any dimensions, any shape, anywhere, without due consideration for safety features, positioning features, what part to position, for instance, your electric meters and your water meters, or it does in commercial buildings. I also find that buildings are made of substandard materials in Guyana. That's the reason why some buildings collapse, some buildings have fires, and some buildings cannot hold a certain amount of persons. We overpopulate buildings. But by and large, I would like to see Guyana build properties subsidized by the government and sold. Government should not own properties. Subsidized by the government and sold to people, low-income people, as subsidized housing. Guyana has a serious housing problem. You will find extremely large properties, and 2 minutes drive, you will find extremely poor, run-down properties. Properties are falling apart. Because there's a great disparity in people's income, which of course accounts for the disparity in the building structures. Guyana needs affordable housing for people. Just like New York here, affordable housing where the government shall not pay rent. I don't believe government should pay anyone's rent, but affordable housing where people can get low interest loans because they're low income, so that Guyana can move forward. There's no need for 5 families to live in one house. Government should facilitate the expansion of the housing sector.
So that's your area of expertise you're offering the Guyana government. So you want to be, let's say, in the Ministry of Housing or something like that?
Ministry of Housing? I'll be willing to work with any ministry that I can assist, because I do have a degree in public communications and public relations. And if I can set up any form of communication to help people study in Guyana, children study, help teachers communicate via internet with their students, help doctors communicate via the internet for performing medical emergency operations. All those fields I can actually help the government in setting up.
Are you prepared to go back to Guyana?
Yes, I am. I am prepared to help Guyanese whether I'm here or whether I'm in Guyana. I can always help the people of Guyana.
So if offered a position, are you going to go back?
Well, of course, I will be going back to Guyana to help the people of Guyana. I'm Guyanese first and foremost.
Right. So what kind of salary you're looking at, if that's the question that you want to answer?
It's always $1 million question about salary. Salary attracts expert and good quality personnel, any part of the world, not only in Guyana. Good salary means you will get good quality people, but more or less. But salary is not the most significant consideration in someone returning to your country. People just love to work and build something for the joy of it. How many times people plant flowers in their yard?
But you still have to eat and you have to maintain your family and yourself.
Well, I'll have to talk to Mr. Granger about that. I'll have to talk to Mr. Granger about that. But I would love to serve Guyana in any capacity that I can. And I would like to serve the people of Guyana. And I would like to see that the people who have robbed Guyana and have stolen people's money be brought to justice. I have a strong sense of justice for people who do wrong to others.
Okay, Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, I want to thank you very much for coming to our ITV studio and the program Inside Guyana. We had a very interesting discussion here today. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on our program in the near future as well. So once again, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been listening to Mr. Leyland Roopnarine, a real estate broker here in New York, a political activist, and also a very prolific writer on Guyana. So on behalf of our cameraman, Ravi, and our producer, Prakash, and all the management and staff members of ITV, I want to thank you for watching. This is yours truly, Dr. Rudy Jadoopat, reporting for ITV Vision of Asia.